Welcome back to the deep dive. Okay, so today we're getting into something really quite fascinating in the digital asset space, Texit Coin. Our main source here is excerpts from Texit Coin, Sustaining Mining for a Century. And, well, that title alone tells you something, right? Our mission basically is to explore what Texit Coin is actually for, where it came from, and especially this huge ambition from its founder, Bobby Gray. The goal is sustaining mining for over 100 years, a whole century.
Yeah, and what's really fascinating here is just how unusual that long-term vision is. I mean, unprecedented, really. In the digital asset world, things move so fast.
Yeah.
Projects pop up, disappear in months sometimes. So designing for a century, that makes Texas Coin stand out immediately. It really makes you think about digital currencies on a totally different timescale.
Absolutely. So the source kicks off trying to explain, what is Texit Coin, the story and vision. It sets out the basic purpose, the origin story. And what stood out to me right from the start was how it connects Texit Coin's beginnings to Bobby Gray's background in ecological sustainability. It frames digital assets not just as money, but like a new kind of digital land, something
Yeah.
that needs generational thinking, stewardship. The core idea, the source argues, is building the first truly intergenerational digital store of value.
That's a really crucial distinction they're making. It's not positioned as just another coin for speculation. The whole narrative grounds it in this philosophy of, well, long-term preservation, long-term usefulness. And if we dive a bit deeper into how they plan to do this, the excerpts get into specific mechanisms. When they talk about sustaining mining for a century, it's more than just keeping servers on or basic proof of work. It's about ensuring there's a continuous, decentralized incentive structure for miners, validators, whoever is participating. So the network stays strong and secure for decades, maybe centuries, without falling into those mining death spirals people sometimes worry about as block rewards eventually shrink.
Right, like trying to build a digital clock that just keeps ticking for 100 years without needing a new battery. It sounds like a huge challenge technically and conceptually. So, beyond just the idea, what specific design principles does the source actually mention for achieving that kind of sustainability? For those of us used to say Bitcoin's model, how does this long-term approach tackle the usual problems?
That's a great question. And the excerpts point to a few things. It's sort of multifaceted. One key concept they introduce is something called an adaptive emission curve. So unlike Bitcoin's very fixed halving schedule, predictable, yes, but maybe problematic down the line with reward cuts, Texacoin's curve is designed to adjust token rewards dynamically over centuries. The idea is to keep the incentive right for participants, adapting to whatever tech or economic shifts happen in the future.
Okay, so less rigid, more responsive. That sounds incredibly complex, though, trying to predict or design for 100 years out. When the source talks about immense technical challenges, does it give any clues about solutions beyond just that emission curve?
It does, yeah. It hints at solutions for keeping the network secure long-term. They even mention thinking about post-quantum cryptography, which, let's be honest, most projects aren't really focused on right now, let alone for 100 years from now. It also talks about new kinds of governance models, how the protocol itself could adapt and evolve over generations, without needing some central control or risking a big split, a fork, every time there's a major upgrade needed. It's aiming for a different type of decentralization, one focused on, well, lasting consensus.
That brings up a really important point. Durability versus, I guess, adaptability.
Yeah.
For someone listening, what are the big doubts or counterarguments? The source must touch on this, right? Because planning something so rigidly for 100 years in a field that changes so fast,
Yeah.
doesn't it risk just becoming obsolete?
That's absolutely a critical point to consider. And the excerpts do seem to acknowledge these potential issues. They talk about this tension between protocol rigidity, making it tough enough to last, and adaptive governance, making it flexible enough to change. The challenge is designing a system that's robust enough to endure, but also, flexible enough to bring in new tech or adapt if the whole global economy changes shape. The source suggests their governance model, while definitely complex, is meant to allow for that needed evolution, but without sacrificing the core ideas of decentralization and longevity. It's kind of like trying to build a digital asset that can learn and grow over time.
That's quite something to think about, isn't it? Okay, so we've looked at Texit Coin's unique origin, this idea of an intergenerational digital asset, and Bobby Gray's vision for keeping it going for centuries, using things like that adaptive emission curve and these new governance ideas.
Yeah, and if you connect this to the bigger picture, well, designing a digital asset to be sustainable across generations, It fundamentally challenges how we currently think about value and permanence in the digital world. It pushes way beyond just short-term gains or speculation. It moves towards this idea of a truly lasting, almost institutional digital legacy. So here's the thought maybe. Given how fast technology and markets change, what does it really mean to design a digital coin like Texit Coin with this vision from Bobby Gray to sustain mining for over a century? What could that imply for the future of digital assets as we know them? I mean, is this maybe a blueprint for the digital heirlooms of tomorrow?
Definitely something to chew on. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Texit Coin and its really ambitious vision. We hope you'll reflect on these insights and think about what true longevity might actually look like in our digital future.